Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the North Main Minute. I'm Joshua Dobie. Certainly, if you've watched any business news program here over the last couple of weeks, I'm chuckling a little bit because I certainly do that practically every moment of every business day. But you've seen some different news on there than probably you've seen here over the last, let's say, several months to a year or so. And that specifically is the markets, at least as measured by our most popular stock indices, has pulled back some. As a matter of fact, as of the time of this recording, that the markets, as measured by our most popular stock indexes, is in the red for this year. And if you look at it even closer, sector by sector, you're going to see those things that did the best last year, at least as defined by sectors, are the things that are not doing very well this year at all, and vice versa. Meaning those things that weren't doing all that well last year, sector-wise, are the things that are tending to be doing better this year. Now, that's not true for every stock or bond, certainly, and I'm not saying that, just looking at it in broad-based terms by sectors, and that brings up a couple of very interesting points. First of all, understand why markets move in the ways they do. If you've watched the North Main Minute for any amount of time, you know we're always talking about being wary, not only when things are going up, but also when things are going down. We were talking about being wary when things were going up, saying this is not going to last forever. Sure enough, now we have some pullback as measured by our most popular stock indexes, and now we're saying this doesn't last forever either, even though sometimes on business news outlets it sort of seems like that because we think in straight lines. That's a whole separate segment. We'll do another North Main Minute on that. But in talking about understanding where the markets are and why they're moving in the ways that they are at this time, this kind of movement is very natural. And from our standpoint at North Main Financial, it's absolutely necessary. That might seem a little bit counterintuitive. You might think, well, why wouldn't we want the markets to go up all the time? Because that's not a market. That's not a market at all. That's not only not a healthy market, but that's not a market at all. Healthy markets by design are meant to go through peaks and valleys and have a whole lot of time in between those two spaces. That's what makes a market. Remember, for every buyer, there's a seller, and vice versa. So if there's somebody who's wanting to buy the stock, obviously with the idea that it's going to increase in value, there's somebody who's wanting to sell the stock for any number of reasons, but the very least that's true is that they don't want to own that particular number of shares anymore. So it's very, very important to keep a healthy perspective as we're going through this time. Second big point, as we're thinking about lots of news items out there. You're seeing a lot of noise on things like tariffs, and you're seeing a lot of noise on tax policy. You're always seeing things with Congress, the Oval Office. What does all that mean with regards to market pullbacks? Well, I'm going to give you a horrible answer. It means nothing, and it means everything. I know, it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Really not the case, because it's very indicative in a short period of time that certain news blurbs or certain stimuli are going to be echoing through the markets that are going to cause it to move positively or negatively in a given day. That's not where you want to keep your concentration. You want to keep your concentration on long-term trends. Are long-term trends shifting? They might be, or they might not be. I'll tell you in advance, though, they can't, by definition, shift in a single moment. They just can't, because there needs to be a correlation and certainly an accumulation of data points in order to be able to define a trend. So just because something has shot up well today doesn't mean that it's going to either keep going or come back down tomorrow. But as we see a trend line develop with performance over a more extended period of time, that can be an indication about where the markets are inclined to go. I'm saying all of that to say, don't get caught up too much in the moment. Lots of noise out there, tariffs, tax laws, all kinds of things that are pulsing through our systems right now. Make sure you stay focused on the trends, not just on the movement of the moment. Third item, and that's really correlated to that second item, but when we talk about portfolios and we talk about markets, when we're talking about making tweaks or changes, and you hear us say this a lot, but it bears repeating, make tweaks or changes for the right reason. Just guessing, folks, it's not a strategy. It's not something that is going to serve you well over a long period of time. Speculation is actually a function of investment. There's nothing that is inherently wrong with speculation. Just understand the risks involved with it. And if you're looking for something that's more foundational, perhaps look more towards the conservative end of the investment universe. But make sure you identify that in advance. I'll put it differently. Unfortunately, most folks don't understand how much risk they have taken until they've taken too much. I'm trying to help you to avoid that kind of space by doing your due diligence ahead of time. That way, when we go through periods like we're going through it right now, it's not going to be as much of a surprise. Nobody likes it whenever our values go down or there's a pullback in the markets, especially if we're long in the markets. But it's the kind of thing that we know is absolutely necessary and perhaps even opportunistic. If you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, talk about where things are in the markets right now. There's never a lack of things that are out there that are interesting and exciting, depending upon which side of the trade you're on. We'd love to hear from you, northmainfinancial.com.